Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I am your moderator. My name is Shen Kun, who physically present here. Uh, this is the last panel of 7th Global Blockchain Summit. And today's panelists will share their thoughts on scenarios, applications, and business models of Metaverse. We're honored to have with us two panelists who are innovative leaders in our industry. First, we have Sebastian Boggett, the co-founder and CEO of the Sandbox, sorry. Second, we have Victor Zhang, the CEO of Alchemy NFT. Sebastian and Victor, would you like to say hi to our audience and introduce yourself and your project a little bit? Sebastian, maybe you can go first.
Absolutely. Hello. 喂，你好，你好吗？我叫 Sébastien Borget，我是法国人 and I'm the CEO and co-founder at the Sandbox, which is the Sandbox, which is a gaming virtual world where users and creators can make 3D assets and game experiences and monetize them into virtual lands through the use of NFTs and send the utility token of our platform. I'm also the president of the Blockchain Game Alliance, which is now an organization counting more than 250 members, promoting for adoption of blockchain technology, such as NFTs, DAO, DeFi, decentralization, within the video game industry.
Okay, thanks, Sebastian. Victor, please.
Thank you, Shen Kun, for organizing the panel. Hi, everyone. I'm Victor Zhang from Stomber Lab. I'm the co-founder of the Stomber Lab, and Alchemy NFT is one of our projects we developed early this year. But for the past 4 years, we have been working in the NFT space, and we delivered more than 30 different NFT-related projects, starting with the FIFA tickets experiment in 2018, and some other tickets experiment, and the recent ticket project. We delivered the Ethereum Foundation's DevCon ticketing platform for the next upcoming DevCon, and also some car ownership token, redeemable watch membership, all those things. And for Alchemy NFT, the main goal is to help all the NFTs with adding more utilities through smart contract and also through non-smart contract services. Thank you.
Thanks, Victor. And I am the co-founder and the president of RCT AI. RCT AI builds AI layer for blockchain and makes NFTs intelligent and interactive to realize the true dynamic and personalized metaverse experience, just like the movie Free Guy. We have released the world's first intelligent NFT Nuwa and the world's first intelligent NFT collection Mirror World, and soon we'll bring crypto-native AAA game to the play-to-earn space. So today's panel will last 40 minutes. We don't have much time, so let's get into it. Before we can have a meaningful discussion about the metaverse, let's kick off the conversation with defining the metaverse. So the first question will be, what is the definition of metaverse from your perspective? In other words, or put it simply for our audience, how would you introduce the concept of metaverse to a 10-year-old kid? Sebastian, maybe you can take the question first.
Absolutely. So for us, the metaverse, it's actually a concept that's been made popular through sci-fi literature and movies. Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson and Ready Player One movie and The Oasis, which essentially says that us, human beings, will be able to live all sorts of experiences through many digital parallel universes through an avatar that will be a 3D representation of ourselves, which will allow to attend those experiences. We believe into an open metaverse that's composed of hundreds, thousands of virtual worlds where users will truly own their own identities, their digital asset and their currency, and will be able to freely move those assets from many virtual worlds and seize opportunities such as new jobs, collaborating, social events, activities, gaming, and more through the ownership of those NFTs and the avatar.
Thank you.
We build,
please go ahead.
and we are contributing to that vision of the metaverse with Sandbox, which Sandbox is only a part of the metaverse. It's not claiming to be the whole metaverse, by bringing more IPs, more brands, more type of entertainment experience, which range from gaming, virtual concert, virtual shows, art gallery, museum, parties, and more. And we enable users to own a piece of that metaverse through owning a virtual land, where they will be able to publish their experience and access monetization of the content they create.
Thank you, Seb. Please, Victor.
Following Sebastian's understanding, maybe I can share my understanding from another angle. So for me, Metaverse is like a subside of the digital world. So these days we access digital worlds through computers, through web browsers, through different applications, different kind of games. Then the key differences for Metaverse and the rest part of the digital world, I think is mainly like the access method, the experience, and also the openness. So the openness, Sebastian have explained already, you should be able to bring your digital object across different platform, across different world within Metaverse. For the access method, I think most of the Metaverse provides VR experience. So that means normally the best access method is through those VR devices. So that is quite different from how we access the web content and the normal mobile or desktop application. And for the experience for user, because it's a VR world, so it's provide a totally new, different, and very deep integration type of experience for user. So that is one way to understand. Another way I feel is we can say it's like a new place for people to create and also to consume content and also to interact with each other. So for me, I believe content are the fastest growing asset class. So like a game, there are content, picture, articles, video, music, all type of different digital contents. They are the fastest growing asset class, and they will be they actually will lead the economy growth. And in terms of how to explain it to a 10 years old case, I think maybe I will say Metaverse is the best place to set up your next lemonade stand.
That's
I
really
think
cool.
at least for my daughter, she will instantly get the point.
Okay, cool. Since both of you mentioned the openness of the web access, right? So expanding on this topic further, so what do you think is the relationship between the metaverse and the blockchain? Are they basically the same thing for example, would you say that blockchain is the infrastructure for realizing the metaverse? Seb, please go ahead.
Yes, you're right. For us, the blockchain is actually the technology, the infrastructure that allows for like the transparency, the public shared distribution of the data, so that there is not a single company or entity that will control the ownership of the asset or the data of the users. And NFTs are the next step that define like how the digital assets that are going to populate all those virtual worlds that constitute and experiences that constitute the metaverse are being stored on that blockchain. So they are like metadata that contain access and links to various model or representation like images, videos, a 3D file, etc. But essentially they have a record, two records actually, which are really important. The record of authorship, who made that content originally, and the record of ownership, who currently owns that. Combined to that, and because NFTs also have the scarcity component, we can see through year 755 how many unique copies will exist of such token and never anymore. We also have the trust and confidence that user can put into the notion of digital scarcity that behind has enabled the development of a whole digital economy around those digital assets. essentially enabling NFT to be storing value, offering utility, and people to build upon services and various new layers on top of this infrastructure.
Okay, thank you, Seb. Victor, what is your take?
Yes, following Seb's explanation, and also following the first question about openness, I think the relationship is we can use blockchain to recall ownership of a tradable object in Metaverse. And what that means is before blockchain, we also can have those different virtual world in digital world. But the thing is, for different virtual world to cooperate with each other, they need to do integration. They need to either integrate to one platform or they integrated with each other. So that means the integration requires a trusted third party, and there will need to be a platform to acting as that trusted third party. So with blockchain, basically, that means all the different virtual world can form one big metaverse by sharing the same trusted third party. That is the blockchain itself. So they can record all the ownership of the digital object within their digital world on the shared on the same place. And then that means all those digital objects can be freely used across different digital world. And eventually it can form a big metaverse.
Thank you,
so
Victor.
that is my understanding.
Thank you, thank you, Victor. That's awesome. So yeah, let's move to another part. It's about culture. So as a metaverse develops, so how do you think the relationship between the metaverse and the physical world will evolve? For example, how will increasing engagement in the metaverse change people's daily life? Seb, what is your take on this topic?
All right. Well, I think it's really important that the metaverse will be a place of culture, a culture that comes from the physical world with existing brand and IP that us as human beings are already familiar with. So when we arrive into this new world, that world built by our imagination and mostly also built by through user-generated content. I do believe metaverse, 99% of the metaverse will be built by users themselves. You still need some point of reference and where like ideally culture and value can be shared across many communities globally. But additionally, and something we are seeing that I find amazing is like all the creativity in this space, like we've seen since the beginning of the year, essentially from the moment that Beeple has made this huge NFT sale for $69 million, it attracted a lot of creative people, creators, artists, and now like people who build like character collection, avatar collection, all sort of collection that appeal to various communities, and that, in my opinion, build this new culture of the metaverse that's different from the physical world. So it's starting to take a culture of its own with CryptoPunks, with Bored Ape, with various memes that you find. And that, that leads in this place and this creator economy where various communities collide, own, interact with each other, and share the value of the content or the interaction they produce. It leads, and that's a topic I'm really attached to, into new jobs opportunities, new revenue opportunities, because you can sell the content you create, because you can animate communities, because you can actually become a player and actually turn like the content you earn through your playtime into a revenue stream. The metaverse is really something that's never been seen like before into the overall gaming or entertainment industry, and has been accelerated through the pandemic and the difficulty of our own physical world.
That's really practical. Thanks, Sebastian. So Victor, please go ahead.
Yes, for me, it's like in the real world, it seems that the economy is kind of growing to a certain point. That is either we explore the universe to find some other place to get some more resources, or we are continue producing some new things for people to consume. But in the digital world, there can be another direction, which is develop the metaverse. And following Sebastian's mentioned about the metaverse, basically is able to create like a new working opportunity, new business opportunity for people. We actually experienced some real examples a few months ago. That is when we collaborate with Ethereum Developer Conference, the AdCon. So we build an event multifunction hall in CryptoVaxel. And for us to build that, we actually hired a professional architect team to do the design, and also a professional team to build that actual VR multifunction hall in the digital world. And this is like already creating a new business opportunity and new job opportunities for the talented people who can create things, who can design things. And we see the growing trend is like early adopters, users go into the metaverse to experience, and then the company who want to targeting those early adopters will build different things to present themselves in the metaverse. And then the more companies come in, the more they will also bring in their existing users. There will be more users, and more users into it will attract more companies, and eventually it will grow from there. And now seeing there's also a lot of interesting game type of metaverse like Sandbox. They will definitely bring in a lot of game users as well.
Thank you, Victor. Since you both mentioned that we probably were working in the metaverse and earn profit from it, it definitely will cost a lot of time and energy of us. So it is quite crucial that we can build a metaverse sustainably. So, but we all know that in Web 2, in various scenarios, the Web 2 has been misused, such as insufficient privacy protection, monopolized data ownership, abusive use of recommendation algorithm. As we are together building the metaverse sustainably, how could we ensure it becomes become a public good, but not a public bad? By what criteria would you evaluate, create more benefits? Sebastian, please go ahead.
That's a very relevant question. Like we've seen for the past 25 years, virtual worlds that has been user-generated content and also offered the premise of like monetization through virtual land and content creation, from Second Life to even Animal Crossing nowadays, World of Warcraft, etc. I think the idea to prevent that is to go through decentralization and governance that matter. Basically, like not everything should be necessarily decided, like the color of the sky, etc. But there are key decision parameters within how those virtual worlds will be operating, how like the taxes on the royalties actually are like taxes that reward creator, etc. into those virtual worlds, and somehow it's going to be managed like a new digital nation. It could become political, and you will see definitely that like political parties and system of users who will be representing protecting the interests of other users. We're shaping to have from the core the idea that users own their data, they decide what they want to share or not with the developing platform, and we ultimately over the next 3-5 years will lead into like, I believe the right direction will be to open source the tool so everyone can see, even if a world, a metaverse like Sandbox is running, initially in a centralized manner, they can see afterwards how everything can be done, and they could eventually even deploy their own if they want in a full openness approach, almost like open source approach, just leveraging the NFTs as the infrastructure and core assets that bind those different versions. The fact that the business model is different than centralized platform like Roblox, Facebook, etc., like very often when a product is free, like you are being monetized actually as a user. Here is different. You opt in to enter the platform, you have your wallet, you have to make a purchase to own an NFT, and through that purchase and the transfer of ownership of those purchases, you can see everyone in the chain who earns from it. There is no hidden element of monetization in those models. And I believe it's part also of the culture of like, who are the companies operating and building that? They have been embracing community driven. They wanted to change the way things have been done for 25 plus years, giving more opportunity for their users rather than trying to squeeze the most money out of their users to please like shareholders, etc. So I'm rather optimistic that it could be built in a different way and will not fall in the same issues as before.
Thank you, Sebastian. So, Victor, what is your take?
I try to look it from another angle. So if we define metaverse as like a verse, so that means within metaverse there will be hundreds, thousands, millions of different digital words. So that means there can be like a good digital word, there can be bad digital word, and the bad one will definitely be replaced by the good one. So it will be. So for the metaverse itself, it will be very difficult to become like a public bad, because it is something is not made by one party, not controlled by one party. It will be just like the universe. There are millions of planets in the universe, and maybe one planet is bad, another is good. But for the whole universe, you cannot define to say they are good or they are bad, because they are not owned by anyone, and all the rules is also not defined or decided by anyone. But for the different digital world, I think the world will be more open and be more recognize the ownership of the digital object will be exist. For example, if you have a crypto dog, like an NFT, and it's a white color, and in this world, it's honored your original criteria. It shows as your cute white color crypto dog. But in another world, based on that rule, that the rule of that world, it will render it into a cat or render it into a yellow color. Then, as the owner of that digital object, you will not play in those worlds which doesn't honor what you have. You will use your object in the world where honor your object.
Yeah. Thank you, Victor. And we've had a very interesting discussion about the metaverse more conceptually. I know you two are not just a generalist because you are working on very, very fantastic and successful projects. So let's focus on the metaverse from the angle of building the products for the next part. The first question of this part will be very straightforward. So what should the crypto native metaverse experience should be like from your angle? So Sebastian, please.
Well, that's the vision we're trying to shape with Sandbox product. We started at the end of 2017 to build a new version of Sandbox, our most popular franchise. This time moving from a 2D single-player mobile game into a 3D multiplayer, multi-platform, and using blockchain technology. And we did that first by focusing on the content. Not focusing on the tokenomics, not focusing on the NFT itself, but more like how do we enable creators to define a new format, new type of content, and empower them to create cool stuff into that metaverse. That led us to launch an editor called Voxedit that allows people to make all those 3D sort of digital Lego-like kind of characters. Some of them you can see behind me. And we have now hundreds of artists around the world that made tens of thousands of models like those, which will populate that metaverse. So that when we open the virtual world, it's not going to be empty, but there will be already a lot of content animated with gamification mechanics, quizzes, and more for users to experience. We launched the map, so we progressively enable users to enter by owning a piece of land, which is a digital space where they can publish their experiences. And even though they cannot publish it yet to the public, they know they have that reserve and can use it. We launched the Game Maker, which is like one of our masterpieces at Sandbox. It's a tool that allows anyone to make games without any prior knowledge. And it's, I believe, the most successful software we have now with 30,000 plus monthly active users from any country. We have anyone ranging from kids, from people like just changing jobs and career and becoming those digital architect studios or builder studios like Victor was referring before, and growing an ecosystem of people who understand that I can build that and I don't need to be a crypto user to build that, but then I will become one and be interested afterwards. We brought the brands in. Some of them include Snoop Dogg, Walking Dead, Atari, Care Bears, Smurf, etc., to give visibility and appeal to their fans. So far, with more than 165 brands, we reach out to over 1 billion fans around the world, which will be here to taste and test those experiences as they open first. And ultimately, we open the tokens and put everything on chain with NFTs, which showed that we started with a product first, the value proposition and the community before introducing the tokenomics. We hope to continue and now to compete with the largest player, the most centralized one, whether it's Facebook Horizon, Roblox, Fortnite over the next decade. I believe will take time, but I think like on this path forward, and as Victor was saying, like the more content is built, the more IP, the more games, there will be definitely a network effect kicking off, which will bring more and more millions of users into those worlds.
Thanks a lot, Sebastian. Victor, what is your view on this?
So for me, the number one thing for crypto native metaverse is non-custodial. So that means with the private key users have all the keys derived from his private key, he's able to freely use whatever services within the metaverse and also prove to the service his ownership of different digital object. I think that is the number one important thing as a crypto native. Yeah, I think the rest, Sebastian has covered all of them. I just want to add in this point. So that means for any metaverse to me, asking me to register an account, that is already like a no sign for me. That is not crypto native.
Okay, thanks, Victor. The next question will be more also very crucial, that I know people here are familiar with blockchain, crypto, wallet, whatever, but a lot of people don't familiar with the concept and don't know how to use them. So for the product builder, how can we lower the barrier of entry to the crypto native metaverse for users? I would like to hear your thoughts on that. Sebastian, please.
Well, I think it has to start by not forgetting, like, why would user want that? Like, what's the motivation? And you have to offer an experience that's seamless, that's going to be fun, and that's because users are like, the quality of overall gaming and all games from mobile phone, PC, console, etc. It's just like there's so much competition. You have to offer something that at least stand out in terms of standards and expectation from those audiences. That's why it takes time to build these things, and it takes some experience as well to know how to make games with good engagement, good retention mechanics, things that will make you want to come back. Because at the end of the day, users are like butterflies, like they have like 3-4 hours a day to spare into various entertainment outside of job or school, etc. And they have so many platforms to choose from. Do I do it on YouTube, Twitch? I'm going to spend time over social media or on Roblox, etc. So or other games, you're essentially competing for user attention. The benefits of true ownership is great, but if there's not a greater motivation to why do I truly own those assets? Do I truly own them because by building that collection, I can expect one day to use it somehow into an experience game, Can I use it to actually, this is my new type of savings and I can generate a revenue by arbitrating if I skip it, sell it, or use it in game. Like many MMORPG game player, etc., will understand the concept of loot, skills, etc., farming. And that notion of value of the content you create is essential. It should be essential and obvious to both crypto and non-crypto users. Yes, crypto users will be more easily convinced, but if you expect to grow the market in a very significant manner, you have to see beyond that.
Okay, thanks, Sebastian. Victor?
Yeah, it's because we are also, we have another product that is currently is the largest open source mobile wallet for EVM-based networks with over 400 forks. So we definitely know like the pinpoint for onboarding new users into crypto space and also into crypto native metaverse space. So I'm 100% agree with Sebastian's. So it's you cannot crypto native is a good thing, but that is not a goal. Because you're asking question, what should be crypto native metaverse? That's why I answer you need to 100% non-custodial. You need to control your own private key, all those things. But those things at the same time can be a big barrier for onboarding new users. And the goal is to provide the best experience for user. It's not to be crypto native. So for me, it's like when we start or even when we grow, crypto native or not for metaverse is not really something very important. The most important thing is to provide good experience. And in terms of detailed practice, with the Alchemy NFT, we launched one product. It's called the Autograph NFT, and that is I think that is the first group of smart contracts on Ethereum, which is not only using a mobile wallet as the solely identifier. So that means our contract not only recognize your wallet address, it also use your Twitter attestation as an identifier. So that means for a normal user, if they don't have a mobile wallet, it's 100% fine. So every time if they want to interact with our contract, they can use like a one-off wallet to claim one attestation and use that attestation to operate the contract. And after that, he can ignore or delete or forgot that wallet address. And next time when he's coming in, he do like the similar process. By doing this, it actually can hide the wallet behind. And for the user, it feels just like he uses Twitter to operate the contract. But actually at behind is multiple steps. So we are definitely, and there's many other projects that's working on the similar direction, trying to remove all the barrier for people go into the crypto space and go into the metaverse space. So I definitely see it's getting better and better. And I can see there is a breaking through point upcoming.
Thank you, Victor. I'm totally agree that the product will go first. But in every conversation about a metaverse, we cannot avoid to talk about the metaverse economists. So we can relate the metaverse economists to the business model of the metaverse. Even though that I don't really know what is business model of the metaverse, but yeah, let's talk about the monetization and commercialization a bit. So what are the existing business models, so-called business models, on the experiment in the metaverse space? How will they evolve? Sebastian, please go ahead.
There are many business models actually that happen in the metaverse. Like we're just scratching the surface of like all the possibilities. At least in Sandbox, I'm seeing like architect studios, fashion studios creating like outfit for custom avatar, game designers, level designer, community manager, a host, VIP, virtual people who create like virtual shows, even virtual real estate agents who are specializing in being broker for between buyer and seller of larger plot of lands, virtual real estate investment funds who acquire values parcel, DAOs and DAO manager, people who are like looking at acquiring various NFTs and leverage their yields capacity through gameplay to essentially enable more to earn like a return through collecting tokens and split that. Guild managers, coach, guild of guilds. Essentially, it's a whole new world of opportunities, which are essentially driven by incentive and use cases. People want to interact with NFT. People want to connect more with other users based on what artists they like, communities they like, content they own themselves. People are thinking of themselves into a different manner, as like we're seeing over Twitter and other places. They're replacing their photo and picture by like more like virtual avatar representation. That's very exciting, obviously, and I think like it's going to keep up going and developing a whole ecosystem behind our various applications in architecture, fashion, entertainment, gaming, and beyond.
Thanks for the opinions. That's inspiring. So, Victor, what about you?
I think Sebastian explained a lot of business opportunities within the digital world, metaverse-based digital world. Maybe I can give some examples of as the maker of the digital world, what can be their business model? The first thing, of course, as a maker of the digital world, of course, you can take those business opportunities Sebastian mentioned within the digital world as well. But at the same time, as you are the maker, it's very similar, like a kind of create a new nation. So with the new nation, you can have like I see a digital world styling a virtual line, like styling the line to make perfect. And I see they have their own currency, and by controlling the currency, by controlling the monetizing policies, there's a way to have a business model. It's more like a kind of a tax for the nation. So there are definitely ways to have a business model for both the maker of the digital world and also different type of user of the digital world, and which will help with continue grow the metaverse.
Thank you, Victor. This discussion has been very fascinating, but unfortunately, we're running out of time. This is the last question, perhaps, and all audience will have for you too. What is the future plan for the Sandbox and Alchemy NFT? What should we be excited about in the future? So, Sebastian?
Well, so many exciting things are happening at Sandbox. I believe next week we will have a series of announcements together at NFT NYC in terms of like various collaboration and more on our roadmap. We have first alpha experience opening for users toward the end of the year as well. So moving one step forward into showcasing how play to earn will be experienced by users into our virtual world. And there's a great amount of larger IPs, celebrity, sports, entertainment, and more that will be announced and showing our metaverse. And I think like that's going to continue shaping a vision and identity of like how Sandbox is evolving fast and in positioning itself into this more global ecosystem of the open metaverse.
Thank you so much, Victor.
For Alchemy NFT, I think the part related to metaverse is about the object within those metaverse, those NFTs. So on one hand, you are able to use the smart contract provided by Alchemy FT to do like a remixing, combination, split, derivative, all those things. To it like put a stone on a sword, combine different items, or split different items, or use one item to derive to other items. And on the other hand, we have this token script framework being developed for the past 4 years, and that is you can think it as a token interface. So with that token interface, what we are able to achieve is you are really able to use your digital items across different platforms. Because the thing for those NFT is the part within the smart contract, they are super. They have the very high interoperability, availability, security, and they have the good trust anchor. But for the part which is related to the smart contract record, but cannot be recorded on blockchain. For that part, they have a much lower availability, security, and normally will introduce a new trust anchor. And also the way how to render those knowledge, how to use those logic is not portable normally. So with the token script framework, it's able to provide a new layer of the interface for token to make your sword can be used really across multiple digital world in the metaverse.
Thank you, Victor. That sounds really promising and exciting. Looking forward to see them all happening. And our CTA plans to releasing our first demo, our AAA crypto native world first AAA game, and make them virtual beings in the game all alive in the near future. So thanks everyone for joining this panel. I hope everyone could enjoy it. See you next year.